Hi guys, welcome back. I'm doing another unboxing today of my fertility medications. If you haven't seen any of my videos, my name is Esther. This is my IVF journey. I have PCOS and I have endometrial cancer, and I'm doing fertility sparing. So we are doing the IVF process. This is the second box of medications, fertility medications that I have received, and I'm just gonna go over those with y'all. So I just want to say first that I don't really know yet what all these medications do, because I do know that they prepare me for retrieval, and some prepare me, or that I would use during the transfer of embryos. But I just want to say that I have not got my protocol yet, so I'm not sure in what order I'm going to be taking these. I can kind of guess, but I really don't want to say until I get my actual protocol and I have more information. So I did go through CNY fertility. For my area, it was the most affordable. This was not, I mean, me and my husband had thought about doing IVF. We knew that might be a possibility. And, in the back of our minds, we didn't think we were going to have to go this route. But I kind of did, because I'm 41. When I actually went, when I actually went to the doctor for, just, your regular baseline fertility testing, an ultrasound, sonograms, my annual, we had, my husband has a daughter from a previous relationship, and she's in college. Thank God, she's doing really good. We had kind of put off having a child because, we just thought it would be what was best for her. And so we kind of put it off a little too long, but it was a decision that we made based on our situation. So, once we got her off, she was set to college. We decided, what, we're gonna get a little more serious about, looking into what our options are. Because, I knew that I was getting older. I have PCOS. I kind of expected I would have to do IVF. And I thought, well, we'll finance it. We'll find a way, to do it. So we had already started kind of saving for it. So, right before the pandemic hit, I had went for my annual, because once you hit a certain age, the gynecologist will tell you, okay, well, we'll see you back in 3 years. And I don't know, I was the type of person that, because I had PCOS, I went every year. I went every year because, especially just not feeling well, having spotting, I never really had painful periods, or, periods that were unbearable. I mean, I just always thought they just hurt. Growing up, that's what we were told. You know what? You don't complain about it. Coming from aunts and my grandma, it's just a part of life, and they're going to hurt. It's a period. So to me, I have a high tolerance for pain. So I never went because it was, I never went to the doctor and was complaining of pains. It just, to me, it was normal cramping. So I do know that back in 2015, I did go for my annual. And when I went for my annual, they had told me that the lining of my uterus was really thick, because I would go sometimes 6 months without a period. And then I would spot or have heavy bleeding for 2 days. And, I would call the doctor and they'd say, well, if it's more than 2 days and if you're using a whole pad, like if you're having to change your pad, it's normal. You're having a period, even if it's 2 days. So I always thought I'm having normal periods because even though I wasn't having a period every month I was spotting, having heavy bleeding for a couple days. So, I already knew I had been diagnosed with PCOS. I didn't officially get diagnosed with PCOS till I was about 27 years old. When I was 17, I went to the doctor because my periods, they weren't irregular, but they weren't, they were just, I would only miss maybe like 2 months a year. So when I had initially went to the doctor, they did a sonogram. They told me, oh, you have cysts on your ovaries. You have a bunch of cysts on your ovaries. And my doctor basically told me, you may never have kids, but if you do, it's going to be really hard for you. That's all he told me. He never said, you know what, you have PCOS, you need to watch out for this, that, the other. No, I would go to my annual every year and nobody ever told me what PCOS was. Nobody ever told me, I was gaining I think since I graduated high school, I was gaining the first 3 years after high school, I gained 20 pounds a year. And that's it. I was doing a lot of dancing. My family is, Mexican American. We're always dancing. We're always having, we call them bailes and all this. So, there was always something to go to, something to dance. And even like as a young adult, me and my friends we love to dance and we would go dancing all the time. So I think that helped me as far as not gaining so much weight. But yeah, like I didn't even really I always had like the symptoms, but I didn't know what it was. Fast forward, I meet my husband, and my whole young adult, like from that time till I met my husband, I just accepted that I would never have children. Like, I had a lot of nieces and nephews. I was content in that. I was, going vacationing with my friends, working, going to school, experiencing life. And I never thought I would ever have children. It wasn't something, I think deep down I wanted it, but at that time in my life, like I was working, I was going to college, I didn't have to worry about a babysitter. And I think at that time in my life, I was just content with not, having a child. I was okay with it. But as, when I met my husband, I got older, I got married, I started wanting those things. And so, we did try to, like when we got married, we did try to see about conceiving, and that's when I learned I had PCOS. And we were not actively trying to prevent pregnancy. We just were not in a position to pay for fertility medications, and fertility, it was not covered by the insurance. So, we just kind of decided, like, financially, like, it wasn't something that we could do without, at that time, because we were younger, So, anywho, that's kind of brought me to where I am today. I learned I had PCOS. I tried different things. I tried all these different things. And, I'm not going to lie. Like, I started, I think, when I was like 27, 28, having really bad anxiety, really bad. Like, I can't even explain the panic attacks and things I started having. I started having changes in mood. I started even when I would have spouts when I was younger, where, like, if I went out dancing, I had to sleep. I remember these things, but I never caught on to them. But, like, just fatigue. Like, I had just it would be just random. There were years of random, just like fatigue here, fatigue there, from doing normal things that in your 20s you shouldn't have been tired from doing, you know? So I think one of the main things I had was fatigue. Like, I would get high blood pressure and then I wouldn't have high blood pressure. And, you know, all that time my sugars, my A1C, everything was good. I never had, you know, diabetes. None of those things diabetes was never a concern for me. I never had a problem with that. I wasn't ever really a person that ate a lot of candies. I did drink growing up, we did not have soda. Like, that just was something that was not bought in our household. So I think when I became an adult, I mean, I would drink a soda here and there, but I wasn't like, I would drink other, water and other tea and things like that. So I think, but I did consume a lot of carbs, just the food that, my grandma would make, the food that I would make, the food I was in my culture, like, tortillas it's bread, it's flour. And then, like, we eat rice, that's that's a carb, we eat a lot of fideo, that's a carb, I mean, and who didn't grow up on eating spaghetti, you know what I mean? Like, once a week, like, we had spaghetti. So, I mean, it's just, every meal my grandma would make, it was like a stack of tortillas, like homemade, fluffy, her tortillas are the best. So, it's kind of hard I can't pinpoint it, but now that I'm older, I know carbs turn to sugar. So I think I wasn't eating sweets and stuff like that, but eventually those carbs, my body started having issues with those. So, I was prescribed metformin. I want to say like in 2015, I was prescribed metformin. So, because I did tests and my test results came out that I did have insulin resistance. So, fast forward to May, right when we were like, right after the lockdown, whatever, I went for my annual. When I went for my annual, she told me everything looks good from what she could see, She said, oh, I'm going to send you for a sonogram because you haven't been in, because I wanted to check my ovaries and I hadn't been there 3 years, and we were going to start trying to, have a baby. And I thought, well, worst case scenario, I have to get, be put on clomiphene or something like that. Anyway, so that she sent me to another office to have that sonogram. When I had that sonogram, I knew instantly something was wrong, because when I saw the screen, the screen when she was doing my sonogram, my ultrasound or sonogram, whatever it was, she typed in the word mass. And like, if you ever seen them, like they use like the plus sign and they'll drag out a circle. I mean, it was big. So I kind of was like, what is that? And I know what a mass is. Like, I mean, I didn't really know, but I knew it was nothing good. So then she's like, I wasn't supposed to see the doctor. I was just supposed to have a sonogram. Well, then she was like, the doctor wants to see you. So I already knew. I kind of was, it all happened very fast. Like, the doctor's like, at the top of your uterus, you have a mass. It could be a polyp. It could be a fibroid. It could be, she didn't tell me it was cancer. She didn't mention cancer. She just said that it probably was a polyp, but that they were going to, I think maybe she did say they're just going to do a biopsy to make sure it isn't cancer. So, I had never had any problems. Like, I'd had a biopsy one time before, because they did tell me that my lining was really thick. But it's like really hard thinking back now, because, when I talk with other girls in my PCOS support groups, whatever, they all say, well, we were prescribed progesterone every month or whatever to make your period come. And then, that way you have a period every month. And I was never given any kind of treatment for my absent periods. I was just told, take metformin. and that was like way later in life. And it was like, that's all we can do for you to treat that. So I feel like, I don't know if the doctors just didn't know enough about PCOS, or maybe I just went to the wrong doctors. I mean, I really got no treatment. I had no doctor ever say, this is what you need to do, and I didn't want to go on birth control because PCOS is a hormonal imbalance, and I didn't want to put more hormones into my body, and it just was a decision I made. I did take birth control when I was younger to, I just took it, because I don't know, they referred me to it, and I took it. But as I got older, I was like, I wasn't doing, doing things that I needed to be on birth control. So, and when I got married, it was like, there was no point. I just was like, if it happens, it happens kind of thing. So anyways, that doctor pulls back to how I got diagnosed. The doctor pulls me back in the office and, tells me about the mass. And then she's like, I'm gonna do a biopsy. Well, I'm freaking out because I'm still trying to, I'm trying to understand what she's telling me. I was a little in shock, and she was like, we're going to do the biopsy right now. So, and it kind of was a bad experience for me because she didn't say like, okay, just relax, breathe in, whatever. She just kind of was like, oh, okay, well, I'm just, she did everything very fast. And then like, I was like asking her questions because it still wasn't, I wasn't comprehending, what I had been told really. So she just did the biopsy like fast. It was so fast. Like she didn't even tell me like, okay, you're going to feel a pinch or nothing. It just was so fast. It hurt so bad. And I don't know if it hurt. I'd had biopsies before, and I don't know if it hurt because it was it was cancer. And I don't know if that hurts more, but to me, I feel like it did. It hurt a lot. So she was like, when I was done or whatever, she's like, we'll call you back with your results, or your doctor will call you back with your results, whatever. So anyways, it was just really odd because it was like, I want to say it was a Saturday, or I'm not really sure, but like my doctor called me and I was actually in bed. It was early in the morning. It was early. We were in bed, and she called and she was like, oh, I got your results. And I just want to let you know that you have the results that come back. You have cancer, you have endometrial adenocarcinoma, and you need to have, I'm going to recommend that you have a full hysterectomy. And I mean, like literally, like there was no like, going into that, there was no, I don't want to say bedside manner, but there was like no, oh, how are you doing today? We got your results, and, I just want you to know that I'm going to be here with you through it was nothing like that. It was just like, hey, you got your results. You have cancer, girl. We're going to have you need to have your full hysterectomy. And like, I just told her like, I don't understand. Like, what is that? Because she was like trying to get off the phone with me, and I was like, what is that? Like, what is endometrial adenocarcinoma? Like, I have no idea what that is. Like, I don't know what you're saying. Like, it was a very emotional day. I got hysterical. I love my husband. We cried together. Like, he doesn't ever cry. My husband never cries. I get emotional thinking about it, but like, it was very scary. And the first thing I did is I called my dad, because I'm a daddy's girl. Like, me and my dad are super close. And I called my dad and I cried with my dad. And it was just, I mean, it was very hard because I was going in there thinking, I'm going to go in there and the worst they're going to tell me is that I had cysts. They're going to have to remove a cyst or, something. But like, I was crushed because I thought like, oh, this is it for me. You know what I mean? Like, I'm not going to have kids. I waited too long. Like, just all these emotions that I was feeling. I had regret because maybe I I should have put stress on us, financially, and did it when I was younger, and I just did it. And then I thought I had already set up like an appointment with my cousin and her partner, and had did an IUI, and they had a baby successfully. So I had already set up an appointment with their reproductive specialist. So I didn't know what to do, and I thought, like, let me call. Well, what happened was I didn't call her. I was just too depressed. I didn't call anybody. I didn't talk to anybody. I didn't do anything. I just laid in bed probably for like 3 or 4 days and just moped around the house. But they actually called me to confirm my appointment because I had an appointment with them. And I told her, well, I have to cancel my appointment because they just told me I have cancer, and that I have to have a full hysterectomy. And that nurse, like, thank God for that nurse, because she was like, I don't think that's true. She's like, let me get with Dr. Munch. Dr. Munch is the name of the reproductive doctor. She's like, let me get with her, and let me have her call you back. And Dr. Munch called me, and she didn't even charge me. She didn't even charge me for being a consult to me. She just, I mean, that lady's just so wonderful. Like, she just told me, she said, there's fertility sparing. You don't have to have a hysterectomy. So she was like, you need to find an oncologist. And I don't know why your doctor would tell you need a hysterectomy. That is a very, like, it's a very slow growing type of cancer. And, you should really get other opinions. And she said, talk to your oncologist. She said, there's fertility sparing. Talk to them about that. And then, call me back and we'll schedule an appointment. So I did. I met with an oncologist, and he was an older gentleman. We went in there, and actually I have that video. My husband taped it explaining everything. So maybe I'll upload that video, but I don't know. I just got the impression from him that he dealt with a lot of he told me, I deal with a lot of older women older than you. So I'm like, oh, cause at the time I was 39 when I got diagnosed. I was about to turn 40, I think. And I asked him, well, do you have any women that have, successfully, completed it? And he's like, well, by the time they do the treatments and by the time they do everything, they're just already tired, and they don't want to go through it. He said, I've never had someone successfully complete it and actually go on to get pregnant. So at that point I was like, this is the wrong doctor for me, because he deals with older women that already have children. I need someone that deals with a 39-year-old woman who's never had a child, who wants children and wants to do fertility sparing. So thank God I found another doctor. Her name's Dr. Jepson. She was really, really good. And, I have a lot of anxiety and panic, and I get panic attacks. So she really worked with me, because before every procedure and every, anything, she really worked well with me as far as being understanding that, my anxiety gets me a little bit, I get really scared of things. So yeah, she just, I went to see her, and she told me that she was going to see what they were going to get back the results from my other oncologist. And he did tell me that it was stage 1, grade 1, and that it had not, the way he explained it to me is that, you have your endometrial lining, which is the lining of your uterus. And I could be wrong on some of this, but this is what I recall them telling me. So the lining that sheds every month, when I have very high estrogen levels in my body. So when you don't, your hormones aren't regulated and you don't have a cycle every month, that lining gets thicker and thicker and thicker. And then, just other factors, went into it as well, but it started growing cancer cells. So it's never good. If you have PCOS and you're watching this, it's never good to go months without your period. Please, please, go to find a doctor that's going to help you, whether you choose to take birth control or you choose to be on progesterone. Just make sure. And I know people say, oh, metformin, it messes up your stomach. I made that mistake. I played a part. The doctor didn't tell me this, but I feel I played a part because I was prescribed metformin and I didn't take it. And metformin helps PCOS. And I didn't take it because I heard all these stories about, oh, you're going to have diarrhea and your stomach's going to be upset. Well, you know what? I wish I would have took it because I don't know for a fact, but I know that it would have helped me to not, I don't know. I feel personally that if I would have took it every month, and I wouldn't have been so scared because of all these stories about side effects and everything, I feel like maybe I wouldn't have got that cancer. Maybe my hormones would have regulated, or maybe, my period would have came every month. I don't know. But, I know I can't blame myself, but I do feel like I could have been my best advocate, for my health. And I feel like if metformin was the only treatment for PCOS, I should have been taking it. So I do carry a little bit of guilt about that for myself, but I've forgiven myself and moved forward. So so my new oncologist, she put me on Magestrol, which I think the brand name is Megace. I always say it wrong, Megace. And I did 40 milligrams twice a day. And the first time I went, I did it for 3 months. She said the goal was to shrink the cancer. And she told me my cancer did not spread to the muscle, which is your uterus is a muscle. So you have your endometrial lining, which is the lining inside your uterus. It is still your uterus, but it's your uterine lining. And then you have the muscle. So once the cancer gets in your muscle, there's a chance it could grow outside your muscle, so outside your uterus, and spread to your ovaries or your stomach. So your lymphatic system, it was a scary thing, but I did the hormone therapy for 3 months. She did a DNC, hysteroscopy, and she did a biopsy, and it came back precancerous. So it did show signs that it was working. So then I did another 3 months of the Megace, the hormone treatment. And then when I went back again, my lining, there was no evidence of cancer. Thank God. I prayed so much. I've always been a prayer. So, I prayed a lot about it. And, so it's just crazy how things work out. I know that with COVID, it's kind of delayed things. I did get the clearance in November sorry about the shakiness. It's my hand shakes, but, I did get the clearance in November to go ahead with the IVF, but it's taking me this long because I have to get my finances and, get the money to do all this because, we're not, I wouldn't even say with everything going on, with everything, as far as the pandemic and things like that. Right before the pandemic, my husband right at the time of pandemic, my husband got laid off. So the job he currently has, he took a pay cut, but he's stayed working through pretty much the whole pandemic. You know what I mean? So, I'm not saying we're not even middle class. I'll put it that way. If, I used to have a job, I used to have a really good job, and I started having health issues. That job was very stressful. It was very, very stressful. And when my stepdaughter graduated, we decided I wasn't going to work because we were going to try to have a baby. So, and I had been having health issues. So, it was just getting harder for me to work. But now I know that all that fatigue, that tiredness, just feeling sick all the time was because I had cancer, and I had no idea. And the main symptom I had was fatigue. Like, I would watch my sister's kid, like, she had a baby, I would watch her baby for a day. I'd come home and I would sleep the whole next, like, I literally would, my husband would go to work and I'd be asleep. He'd come home and I was still asleep. Like, I could sleep days. Like, I could just hours, sleep hours away. So, I mean, if you have absent periods, like completely absent periods, if you, have brown spotting, or like you have dark reddish brown spotting, or just spotting that you think might be like, oh, I'm gonna start my period, like, when you're like, oh, I'm starting my period, but then the next day nothing happens. Or maybe I think I had times where, like, I would bleed like for I bled for like 2 weeks, and then I didn't bleed for like 6 months or something like that. So, fatigue, I feel like the symptom that I would have never thought was the fatigue. I mean, it was really bad fatigue. But yeah, so I got through all that, and, that's how I got to this journey. And I mean, I'm sorry for the quality of video. I mean, I'm just shooting this off my phone, but I just felt like when I went through it, there was only one girl on YouTube. And I don't have her name, but I want to say her name was like Sarah Marie or something like that. But I want to thank that girl because she was the only person that had something kind of similar to my situation. The only difference is I think her journey was she was choosing to be a single mom because she did have to go through fertility sparing, and thank God she's pregnant. And I don't know her, but I'm so happy for her. Actually, I think she just had her baby maybe last month or something. I think she just had her baby last month, and I'm just so happy for her. Like, I mean, that's just one person. When I see so many videos about IVF and PCOS and IVF, but I don't see any videos of PCOS with cancer and IVF and being over 40. So I hope that my video can kind of, just help somebody out there. And I would have chose to do IVF locally, but I could not afford locally. I mean, locally, the least expensive I found for just for egg retrieval, not including freezing, was like $12,000. And then they don't tell you, okay, well, not only are you gonna have to, pay for this, but you're gonna have to pay for blood work, sonograms, you're gonna have to pay for medications, ultrasounds, you have to get a HSG. So, like, there's a lot of things that they don't tell you. And I mean, I have insurance, thankfully, but it doesn't cover everything. So, I'll probably do a video about financing and the expenses and cost of everything so far. But yeah, so that's my story on how I started my IVF journey. I'm just gonna go ahead and just go over the medications I did get, just because this is my story, but also an unboxing. So I got 3 boxes of the enoxaparin sodium injections, and I'm not gonna open it just because I'm not gonna start my protocol yet. So I don't know what my protocol is. I should be ordering the rest of my fertility medications tomorrow. So yeah, these are just little injectables. They sent me some cotton swabs. Now, my insurance does cover some of these medications. So these are probably, a few of these are multiples from the last time, the other video I did unboxing medications. I did go with Integrity. I did actually, CNY, they sent my prescription to Integrity. And if you watch my other unboxing video, my first unboxing video, then, you know, I kind of go over a little bit more about that. But I like it. They give you this little guide, what needs to be refrigerated, what's not required, and items that are non-refrigerated. And then they give you these papers that talk about the medication. Like this one talks about the naxaparin sodium. And that I have to do another video on once I get my protocol, I'll do a video on when exactly you would take these. This one is the azithromycin, which is this one right here. And the Z-Pack, if you're familiar with it, it's antibiotics. And it's handy because they also put a little picture of what the pill looks like. The next one that I got is the letrozole. Prednisone. Progesterone. Estradiol. I'm not sure how to pronounce that. I'm sorry if I murdered that. And hydroxychloroquine sulfate. So they just give you and I would read off the uses for these, but I'm going to be honest. The last package I got, a lot of it said had nothing to do with, there was no explanation really of how it pertained to IVF. So, sorry, if you have any questions or if you have any information for me that might be helpful to me, you know, just, I guess, message or, you know, write it, you know, in the comments. So I really appreciate you taking time out just to hear my story, and I hope it can help someone. Until next time, y'all have a blessed day.